What is up, YouTube? Welcome to Panfro Games, and in today's video we're going to go over 20 tips to help your experience in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. And of course, guys, if you're new to the channel, please subscribe, like the video, I'd really appreciate it. And let's begin with the options menu because there's a lot of actual interesting stuff that can happen here. One, of course, put your tech speed to fast. You can actually skip move learning, which is pretty cool. You can automatically send your Pokemon to boxes as well, which is actually really nice to keep mine on manual. But the big thing here is turn off autosave. And the main reason to turn off autosave is if you encounter a shiny Pokemon and you accidentally mess it up, you will not be able to reload your save in order to encounter that shiny Pokemon again. So make sure if you see a shiny Pokemon, save the game, and then you'll guarantee yourself always encountering it again if you happen to fail. Same thing about raid battles and even other glitches. You'll always want to have autosave turned off and just be mindful about manual saving. But this option menu is actually a huge feature of Scarlet and Violet, and I have to give it to Game Freak here that they actually nailed it this time around. Now, another important thing is in the beginning of the game, the starters are shiny locked, so do not hunt the shinies for the starters just yet. You can breed them though. Also, the box legendaries are shiny locked, Koraidon and Miraidon, and the 4 dark legendaries are all shiny locked as well, so do not waste your time resetting for those. Trust me, save a person, share that information. And of course, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet are open world games and you should always be exploring. Yeah, you can go to objectives like the first gym, however, you don't need to rush that. I recommend going around, doing the different raid battles is always fun, and seeing what kind of rare Pokemon you can actually get. Right in the beginning of the game, you can catch a Larvitar, and this would be Bagon in Pokemon Violet. Of course, you can get Swablu as well. You can even get Axew, Eevee, Dunsparce, Mankey, all this very early in the game, which is pretty phenomenal stuff. And of course, there are random items that will spawn throughout the map, and you never know what the items are actually going to be. So I got a full restore right there, right at the beginning of the game. You can even get nature mints, you can get evolutionary stones and other items, and of course there will be wild trainers as well. So always explore. There's tons to do in this game, and I wouldn't recommend rushing through. Enjoy your experience because this game is pretty phenomenal. However, if I had to recommend something for you to first do in the game while you're exploring, I would actually do all of the Titan battles, because the Titan battles give Koraidon more abilities. Koraidon can dash, he can also swim, he can get a super jump, he can glide, and he can actually climb walls as the last ability. So the more of these you get, the easier it will be for you to access harder to get areas that have rarer Pokemon, rarer items in general. So I do recommend that. And of course, you can actually catch the Titans after you defeat them. So once you're done with the Titan battle, you'll be able to catch them. And if you catch the one that was actually the Titan, like Great Tusk here, who is the ground Titan, you can check its summary and then go to its title, and then you can actually give it the ribbon. So it'll say Great Tusk, the former Titan. And I'll also confirm that yes, of all the Paradox Pokemon, they're all in the post game. However, Great Tusk and Iron Treads can be caught before the post game, as they are a mandatory Titan boss, and you can catch them in their respective Titan areas out in the desert. Now, if you want to play the game in the correct order by level, because it's really easy to get over leveled in this game, especially if you do harder things first and then you have to go back and do old gym leaders, this is the correct order on the screen. So you're pretty much going to be alternating between the gym leaders, the Titan fights, and Team Star. I personally got to say that Team Star ends up being the hardest fights in the game, which is actually really cool when I like their battle method. And while you're exploring, make sure to go to the watchtowers on the map. These watchtowers are all the exact same stone structure, and they're really useful not only for catching Gimmighoul, because Gimmighoul chest forms almost exclusively spawn there. There's a couple of other instances where they spawn in ruins, but these also act as fast travel points. So if you can see on the map here, there's not really a lot going on, but this is like the only fast travel point that's in the vicinity. That is why you really want to go to these areas. And when you battle one of these Gimmighouls, they can drop between 10 and 60 coins. From what I've noticed, the higher level ones will drop more coins, and it seems it's almost based off of their level here. And of course, if you catch it, you get a couple more coins than usual. And if you catch one of these, I will say they're not too good for your team. They're essentially like a Magikarp type Pokemon where they don't learn a lot of moves until you actually get the coins to evolve them. You will need 1,000 coins. So this time we got 30 coins, which is actually pretty solid. I've seen as low as 10 and as high as 60. I also recommend battling trainers in each region because you can turn these trainer battles into the Pokemon League rep and actually get some really good TMs. Now, there is an importance to gym badges, especially if you want to go out and catch really high level OP Pokemon. Let's say you have 2 gym badges, you try to catch a Garchomp at level 60, they're actually going to make it way harder for you to catch that Pokemon because you don't have enough gym badges to actually catch it. You can catch it, but that catch rate is increased and it's super hard. And if you do catch it, it's not going to obey you in combat. However, let's say you have a level 5 Pokemon and you somehow grind it out to level 60. Even though you only have 2 gym badges, it will still listen to you because you caught it at the appropriate level when you had 2 gym badges. So keep that in mind. So yes, it's going to be hard for you to catch high level Pokemon, but once you do have a Pokemon that already listens to you, it's going to listen to you forever. There's also a brand new feature called Auto Battle, and it's very cool. You can do it while you're on your Pokemon. You send them out and your Pokemon will battle other Pokemon in the wild, and you get materials. And it's the best and fastest way to get materials in the game, and they'll continue to knock out Pokemon in the vicinity. But also, you can get experience points from this too, and if the Pokemon are actually at high level, you get a lot of experience points for this, and it's a lot faster than actually battling. Yes, the experience points is less in an actual battle, but when you're around so many Pokemon, this actually ends up being the best way to get EXP and farm materials at the same time. Of course, sometimes you got to resend them out to do battles, but overall, it's a phenomenal system, and they won't kill shinies. So if you are worried about shinies, they will not kill a shiny for you, which is phenomenal. And it's actually one of the best ways to check if a Pokemon is shiny, because there is currently no sparkle or sound for a shiny Pokemon in the current build of the game. Now, while you're out there battling and catching Pokemon, make sure to check out your Pokedex. And if you click on the first icon in your Pokedex and then you hit the X button, you can see all your Dex rewards. And you get a reward about every 10 or 20 captures for your Dex. And the final reward ends up being a shiny charm and a Beast Ball, which is really dope. Another big thing I think the game skips out on is the fact that you are a student and there is a lot of classes that you can take in Scarlet and Violet. And yeah, it may seem lame to take classes, but the classes are actually really interesting and give a lot of world lore or precious information. Like, they even tell us about shiny Pokemon. They give us hints at how Pokemon evolve too, which is actually pretty cool. But most importantly, these events in the classes actually give us experience candy. They can give us other items that even lead to post-game quests. I actually currently have a quest right now from the history teacher about getting the Dark Legendary Quartet, and she actually marked the locations of all of them on my map. So it is really worth doing these. And of course, we should be doing raid battles in Scarlet and Violet, and even if you don't do the battle, you should interact with the Terra raid, and even if you leave here, you gain league points, and league points is the currency that you can use to buy ingredients for sandwiches and also to create TM. So even if you have no interest, it is worth just checking it out. But as you can see here, I got a Noibat here, and I couldn't even catch a Noibat at this point in the game unless I went to a further area. So it's always worth just checking out the Terra Raid battles, and maybe you'll get a Pokemon. I saw a Citadel in one of mine that was stage 3 before I even got to the Ice Mountains. So I think it is worth just checking these out. And when you beat the game, you unlock 5 and 6 star raids, and these raids are great as they have really high level Pokemon. They also have rare Pokemon, and you can get bottle caps, ability patches, and Herb Mystica, which are used to make the best sandwiches in the game. And speaking of sandwiches, you can create sandwiches at the picnic table, which you can set up whenever, and you actually get more sandwiches for the more badges you have. So when you get a new badge, make sure to go to the sandwich shop in its associated town, and you'll be able to pick up more sandwich recipes. As you can see, there is 151 total recipes, and each one does something important, especially like if you're trying to get some egg hatching going. Yes, definitely do this because you can increase the spawn rate of eggs. You can also make it easier for raid battles. You can make it easier to encounter certain types of Pokemon. This is essentially some of the most important stuff you want to do. And breeding is very easy. All you have to do is get 2 compatible Pokemon or a Pokemon in Ditto and just hang out in the picnic area. And eventually you'll check your basket and you'll see an egg, and you can just say, yes, you want to get the egg. Oh, and the eggs will actually keep stacking, so you can get another egg, and Flame Body does not increase the speed of egg hatches. However, that only took me about 3 minutes to run around to hatch this Coco, so eggs are really easy to hatch now, so it doesn't actually matter, and it makes the whole process a lot easier. I also recommend running into Golden Terra Pokemon on the field, because they will have a rare Terra type. When you catch a regular Pokemon in the game, they'll mostly have a Terra type just for their main type. So if you want a Pokemon with a different Terra type, I do recommend doing this. And honestly, it is worth doing. You don't even have to catch them because you will get league points for just battling them. So if you want another good way of getting league points, I recommend just taking them out and you'll get some points too, so you can build more TMs, which is pretty phenomenal. And I do want to reiterate again that yes, shiny Pokemon will appear shiny on the overworld. So get familiar what shiny Pokemon look like, especially if you're hunting for a particular Pokemon. It is going to be hard if you do encounter like a shiny Garchomp or a Gengar, but just remember your auto battling Pokemon will not take out a shiny Pokemon, so that's always the best way to check. Last thing I want to mention is that there are massive outbreaks in the game. As you can see, we have a Magnemite outbreak out here, and there's tons of spawns, and honestly the best way to deal with these is just to send a Pokemon out and just auto battle, and eventually you'll get through all the spawns and hopefully you'll find a shiny Pokemon. Honestly, I've seen about over 100 Pokemon spawn from these things, so it is pretty crazy, and of course it is a great way to actually get some experience points and get some great TM material. And you can see these on the map too. So we open the mini map here, that we can actually see a symbol that has the outbreaks, and you about get like 4 or 5 of these a day. And if you want to change the outbreaks that you get, you can change the time on your Switch clock to the next day to get new outbreaks. Of course, this also changes all the different raid spawns too, very similar to how Pokemon Sword and Shield worked as well. Well guys, that is all of the tips I have for your adventures for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. Of course, keep it here to Panfro Games by subscribing and liking the video, and I'll be making more guides about how to catch certain Pokemon, how to catch shiny Pokemon, and much, much more. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll catch you guys next time. Peace out, and have a great one.